Hey, John. So real quick, I'll run through the basics of section elevation. Of course, like many things, there's a lot going on there if you want to dig into it, but I think the stuff you're asking about is pretty straightforward. So I think you're talking about this tool, which it sounds like you're already familiar with using, so I'll just throw it out here at some spot. And it's asking to enter length off the screen. You can't see that. I don't really care about that because you can change it easy enough later. There's my object. I'm going to make sure this box encapsulates everything I want to see. I'm going to right click, say generate section. You can have different styles if you want to do different things. You have one that shows hidden lines and one that doesn't, that kind of thing. We'll just work with standard for now. Select objects, so I'm just going to messily select a whole bunch of stuff here. Of course, if you don't select it, it won't show up in your section. Display set can also matter. For the most part, you'll either use section elevation or model. I don't know where elevation came from, but just keep in mind that if you make different choices here, that could affect your results. Say OK, and there's my section elevation. At the same point that I made my last one, there was also, of course, the if I right click and go to regenerate, I could have selected a point when I was generating this to start with. Okay, so obviously right now we've got stuff in red in the background and stuff the line's cutting through in green, just fine. If I grab this and want to change that, I'll go to edit the style. Here is my display representation that I want to edit, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to click this box to say I'm only editing this style. I don't want to do this universally. And in here, it's the defining line that is what's being cut through. Inner and outer shrink wrap are kind of chancy. I typically will turn them off. Defining line is your go-to object for where the section line is actually cutting through the model. So instead of by block, we could make that cyan. Okay, and as soon as I do that, okay, okay. Now that should have been cyan. Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have turned my shrink wraps off. Whoops. That is perhaps working differently than it did in previous versions. They change this stuff all the time, as I'm sure you know. Now that I have that box checked, I need to use this button to go back in there. So I will turn those back on, and I will turn those to also be cyan. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, there we go. It's a little better. Okay, so that's how that works. The stuff in red comes from this guy, obviously, which is on a bogus layer. Probably don't want that on no plot. So notice that you can control the layer and the line type in here as well. Now we've got this hidden component. You might not be seeing that right now, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But also notice that there are these subdivisions. So I'll go over those in a second. Say okay, and okay. In the style, if I want to have hidden lines show, I need to check this box on the Design Rules tab. As well, if you have trouble with that, look for a hot fix, because there have been a couple of versions of architecture, including architecture 2013, that shipped with a bug that prevented proper hidden line work in section elevation. So there's hot fixes for just about every version since 2010. Once I've got that checked, then I can go to display properties and change how hidden stuff works on this line. I can give it a different color if I wanted, and of course you can also control line type there. Now the final thing is these subdivisions. So if I say okay, and well, actually let me take one of these subdivisions. Let's do subdivision 2 and set it to blue. Not sure if I should be doing 2 or 1, but I think 1 is the one we've got active here, and that's why we're getting that red color. So say okay and okay. You get subdivisions by selecting this, going to properties, and coming to this little dialog here. This is kind of bizarre, but that's the way it works. So I'll go to add one. It throws one in at 10 feet, which is fine. I don't care. And so there's my subdivision line. I can move it if I'd like. And now anything that curves past that line will go to that next subdivision that you saw in the style, in the display properties of the style. And indeed, if I refresh this, I should get some of this stuff in blue, and that's what we do. So that's how that works. I hope that gets you rolling down the road there, John. Let me know if you have any further questions, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.